In case you were wondering how that whole Christian nationalism thing is going, watch this.
Let's say that somebody was coming into our church and they're black, and would they be eligible for membership in our church? Yes, they of course they would. They'd be eligible for membership in our church. But would they be permitted to participate in, embody, and practice what I would call black culture generally in our church? The answer is absolutely not. Why? Because the characteristics that mark black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. Black culture.
And it's even interesting. I mentioned it before, but like the black guy on TikTok, he was saying, he's like, y'all crazy. Like, you talking about this person like it's mental health. He said, that ain't no mental health. That's a demon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people are seeing that. Like, this behavior is demonic. To walk up to a white girl.
Either, but yeah.
And to cut her throat.
Because she's white.
Because she's white, and be like, yeah, we got that white girl.
We got that white girl. And when you think about it, you look at that culture and you say, what are the besetting sins and characteristics of it? And then you say, could somebody come in a lawful church membership embodying that culture? No, they have to self-consciously repudiate that culture.
I'm gonna have to write about this one. When I heard you claim that black people could join your church but must repudiate black culture because it is supposedly violent, immoral, and demonic, I wasn't shocked. This view of black culture has long been perpetuated to keep negative stereotypes alive and to take the spotlight off of who and what is the real issue in this country. Your words are not only racist, but they're a textbook example of how white supremacy has been hiding behind theology for centuries. To make the claim that black culture is inherently evil, you're clearly distorting both scripture and history. But I think you know that. You're choosing to recycle the same lies that enslavers and segregationists and oppressors have always used to justify control and dehumanization. It's lazy, and it's not rooted in Jesus, but in fear and racism. See, black culture has never been about destruction. It's always been about creation, connection, and survival. What you dismiss as immorality is actually the resilience of a people who, when given nothing, created everything. Black culture has crossed generations and demographics for centuries. It is deeply rooted in our spirituality, our family, our joy, and most importantly, our love. It's not just a way of life, it's its own love language. Black culture is love, just as God is love. And because of that, in many ways, we are closer to the embodiment of Jesus because we show our love through our action, through our care, and through our community, and through creating spaces for joy and healing. See, we don't just tell people that we love them, we feed them, we protect them, we uplift them, we celebrate them, we honor them, and we don't vote against them. But I'm not surprised that you don't understand Black culture. Because in order to understand our culture, you would have to understand history. And given the fact that it is white American culture to erase and distort history, it would make sense that you don't know an accurate version of ours. See, we've built tables when we weren't offered a seat. We found solutions to problems that we didn't create. We have innovated and excelled despite the odds constantly being stacked against us. We continue to break barriers. We become firsts in a variety of industries, and we believe in the value of what we have to offer. And that pride in ourselves and in our culture is undeniable. There are countless Black inventors, community leaders, authors, musicians, veterans, scientists, and historians who helped shape our culture and this country. Some I'm sure you have been influenced by or even benefited from. We built churches, schools, and social organizations to make sure our stories are told accurately. And even when people like you continue to paint us in a negative light, we continue to shine. We innovate in media, music, fashion, and art so that our voices can't and won't be silenced. Black culture can't be separated from our music or our food or our fashion, our hair and style. Jazz, gospel, reggae, hip hop, and R&B are not just genres of music. They are expressions of liberation, survival, and joy. Hairstyles like afros, braids, and locks, our soul food recipes are passed down for generations. They're all expressions of our identity and our resilience. The phrase Black is beautiful is a declaration of pride and a reminder that our melanin in our bodies are worthy of celebration in a world that tells us that we aren't worthy of anything. See, Black people have created, led, and transformed industries, art, and societal culture. We are innovators, trendsetters, storytellers, and leaders. And as of 2023, we are 14% of the population, but our culture touches nearly every corner of the world because we set trends, we start movements. And despite people like you trying to attach us to negative stereotypes, we carry joy through it all. We build institutions, we fight for justice, and we are working to ensure that the next generation has access to opportunities that most of us were denied, even if they don't look like us. So no, Pastor, Black culture does not need to be repudiated. It needs to be celebrated. It is a gift to this country and to the world. And I don't say all of this to convince you of that, but only to point out that it's a shame you will never know this firsthand.
Whose man's is this? Whose man's is this? I need one of you triple K, troglodytic, translucent, hyperallergenic to the sun, cave dwellers to come get your grand wizard, Brian Suave here, the pastor of the refugee church in Utah. Yeah, somebody needs to come get him before somebody goes and gets him. Because talking out the side of your neck has penalties these days.
The characteristics that mark Black culture as a generalization, in the same way Paul's talking about Cretans on Crete, they are evil, murderous, violent, bestial people. They steal, they kill, they destroy, they look like Satan in how they act. They are sinful to the core. They have besetting sins that are like fatherlessness, sexual immorality. They molest children at a high rate. All of any criminal statistic that you could look at, almost pretty much without exception, they excel at them. Black culture.
Well, so the man married to his sister wife with their 7 children in Ogaden, Utah is projecting. Yeah, must be projecting, because I know we're not just going to run past this stat when it comes to that offensive nature of white men to children, are we? I could go over the stats on white crime, but see, this isn't about facts. This is about bigotry and racism and those whose mentality houses it. Oh, and this snow sloth is not done, because he had more to say about what should happen to Black ghetto culture.
Population, yeah. So if you take that, and then you took a law like Deuteronomy 21, which is a just law that God enacted through Moses. The law was that if you had a rebellious son, you have a child they're coming up into their manhood and they're rebellious, they don't listen. He lists some characteristics, and even though they're disciplined, they will not turn. He says the fathers to bring them out into the town square. This is a rebellious son, and then they stone him to death. They kill him.
And an armed robber would certainly be one of those.
Oh, absolutely. Armed robber, all the ghetto culture.
Violent crime.
Basically, take ghetto culture, it would describe this to a T. If you did that over 3 generations, how much violent crime would you have in the 3rd and 4th generation? Much, much less.
3 generations of Black people you're talking about killing. I want you to understand this, and understand it well, especially those of you all who have adopted the religion of the oppressor. Pastor Brian Suave here meant everything he said, literally. Yeah, you all can go and say, well, he was talking figuratively in a biblical sense. Isn't the Bible where they get their moral compass from? Yeah, he meant what he said. He was basically saying the only good Black person or rocket raccoons are those who are in service to swallowing the glizzy of white supremacy. Everybody else needs to be stoned. And that's why I will treat anybody with that mentality, or anybody who follows people with that mentality, as the enemy. And I won't be turning my back on them. And if they knew what was good for them, they should never turn their back on me either. Now, you'll have the day you deserve, and may the ancestors judge you accordingly to your actions.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. In a world where the church is supposed to be a refuge for healing and unity, it's always shocking when those behind pulpits spread division instead of compassion. Recently, a white pastor came under fire after making deeply offensive remarks about black people, labeling them as evil, murderous, and sinful. His words sparked outrage, not only among the black community but also across diverse faith circles who believe the message of the gospel is one of love, not hate. Let's be clear. This isn't just about one pastor or one church, it's about the misuse of religion to justify prejudice. History has shown us that when religious authority is abused, it becomes a powerful weapon for discrimination. From slavery era sermons that misuse scripture to defend racism, to segregationist preachers of the Jim Crow era, the pattern has been painfully similar. Racist interpretations of faith have long been used to dehumanize black people, portraying them as sinful or cursed, rather than as equal creations of God. But the truth is, faith in its purest form does not divide. The Bible itself teaches that all humans are created in the image of God. That means all regardless of skin color. When a pastor stands up and calls the entire race evil, he is not spreading the gospel, he is preaching prejudice dressed in holy garments. This incident also exposes a larger issue, the silence of the church leaders. Far too often, when racism surfaces in the church, it's brushed off as one pastor's opinion or a misunderstanding, but silence in moments like this speaks volumes. To call yourself a faith leader is not to hold moral responsibility. It means standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. It means acknowledging that racism isn't just a worldly problem. It's a spiritual sickness that eats away at the soul of any church that tolerates it. Communities of faith need to be brave enough to have these conversations, to talk about how systematic racism, prejudice, and ignorance can creep into sermons, hiring decisions, and church culture itself, because healing starts with honesty. It's also important to remember that moments like these, painfully as they are, can become catalysts of a change. Many churches today are actively confronting racism, educating their members about equality, and rebuilding trust with communities that have been hurt. Black theologians and faith leaders continue to play a critical role in that healing, reminding the world that Christianity has always been diverse. From Ethiopia to Egypt, from the early church fathers to modern-day scholars, Black Christians have shaped the faith, history, strength, and spiritually. To deny that legacy or to demonize it is not only racist, it's historically false and spiritually blind. So as this story continues to unfold, the lesson is clear: faith cannot coexist with hate. If your religion leads you to despise others, it's not God you're serving, it's your own prejudice. True faith calls us to empathy, justice, and love, the kind that sees beyond skin color and stands for the dignity of every human being, because at the end of the day, the most powerful sermon isn't the one shouted from the pulpit, it's the one lived out through compassion. Thanks for watching, and if you're first time, kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. Thank you.